Welcome to the home of the Conversations with Concerned Citizens podcast. Here we talk about real-world issues in hopes to come to a solution. We are a solution-based podcast. We are your hosts, The Lurker and Godmama. Please hit the like and subscribe if you're new here. We'll start the show shortly. The Conversations with Concerned Citizens podcast. The Conversations with Concerned Citizens podcast. The Conversations with Concerned Citizens podcast.
We Grand Rising. Yes.
Happy Thursday.
Grand Rising, everybody. And congratulations to the New York Knicks. Ooh-wee. Damn, it was a good game last night. It sucks to be a Spurs fan today. Let me tell you, boy. But baby, it was a wonderful game.
Yeah, because from what I heard, they thought they were going to pull it in, right? But at the last minute, they said no.
They had what was on the shot clock? 1.2 left on the shot clock. Not on the shot clock, but on the time clock. 1 second, 1.2 left on the damn, and baby, yeah, they got us. They got us. What's up, James? How you doing, baby?
Wow.
Yeah, they got us. It was a great game. It was a great game. They've all been great games, all four. And I won't be mad if the Knicks win. I'm not a super fan over here. But hey, if we can bring it back, let's go, San Antonio. I have faith. Come on. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. And I haven't seen Lizzo out there in a minute, so go ahead. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry, that was rude.
Oh. Well, friends, today's show is titled, It Said America Has Come a Long Way with Human Rights. However, has it really? So maybe you can kind of tell where we're going to go with this show today, but I guarantee you won't expect what we're going to say. So make sure you hit the like if you're new here, subscribe, hit that bell, and we'll be right back.
Ooh, America has come a long way. I mean, we're only 250 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess. I don't know.
250 years isn't very old for a country, for a government, for a civilization. So, I don't know. I think we've came some way, but not a long way. Okay. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, you said with human rights. Okay, if we're going to keep it with human rights, I think America has come a long way, and I think we set the tone for, or the standard, I should say, for freedom of speech, right to bear arms, yada, yada. Those are all human rights, or we see them as human rights in our country. So I don't know. I think we have, in some areas of the human right department, we have come a long way. Civil rights, I don't know about that. Human civil rights, I'm not too sure. Hey, Cuzzo.
Shout out to the chat. Hey, James. in the cloud watchers. Shout out to y'all. Rich Rise, happy Thursday. Also, let me say this while it's still on my mind. Do not forget that we do subscriber appreciation. And we currently have someone in the lead. So I'm gonna need my our real deal Holyfield subscribers to step it up because this this go around might be a little trolly. Okay. This subscriber appreciation might get a little trolly because they love the channel but
Yes,
hate the channel at the same time. Okay,
yes.
and it's funny how God works because we were just, anywho, I'll move around and move
We're
along.
moving right along.
Uh,
Moving right along. We're here for human rights, okay? Not YouTube rights, okay? Um, yeah, step your sub game up, okay? Step your sub. Our last one was Leighton, and boy, it was a wonderful blessing to bless him. It sure was.
yes, it was.
Um, when
Thank
we
you,
started the
lady.
show, I brought up a little bit about the Knicks. I mean, I can't say it enough. It was a great game. I don't know what else to say. However, the after effects of the game, which I think everybody knew this was going to happen. Whether Knicks win or lose, there's going to be chaos. So there's a lot of
Right.
San Antonio Spurs fans getting beat up. I'm not going to play any of it because I'm not in the mood to watch nobody get whooped on for no reason. But they getting gritty out there, or whatever slang they use. They out there doing their thing. Okay, so for future events, I did hear that San Antonio wants to get their lick back. And I would hate for that to happen. I would hate for that to happen. San Antonio is uh, yeah, they can get jiggy if they want to. So I would hope
Yeah.
that, yeah, I would hope that we don't have any more violence. We keep that shit in New York and we keep it pushing. Let's keep it clean. It's just a game, is what Wimby said. It's just a game. We're all
What it?
players.
No, no, baby. They act like this is Sparta. Okay.
Now they outside
Period.
deep, deep, thick. Even to the point where it's targeted, right? It's targeted.
Right.
And I'm not sure why, as a Spurs fan, I'm not saying you don't have the right, but I just wonder what thought process. Why wouldn't you take your jersey off if you know you're going to be walking the streets of New York? Or do you, or are you, I mean, I'm not sure because there's not enough police there's just not
Right.
enough police to come get you and save you. I mean, why don't you take off your jersey and tuck it in your pocket and get home safely? I don't know.
Thank you. So you can
Um,
play another game.
yes, live to tell another day. But I mean, I guess whatever. Speaking of sports, though, I'm going to share my screen for this one. Y'all know we have the World Cup making its rounds, coming to the States. Supposedly, that's what Trump's doing all this cleanup for. Okay, trying to make our country look good. Well, family, unfortunately, this is just one, but I did read that there was a couple, a little more than a couple, players and referees, officials, I'll just call them officials, that have been denied or have delayed entry into the States. And they're saying
Hmm.
it's because it's such a high vetting process. We got to do a really good background. Well, why wasn't all that set up prior to? Why are we waiting when the games are about to take off? I'm not sure. Why are we waiting till people are at the dang border to get in? I don't know. Well,
Right.
one gentleman here. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But this gentleman here was a referee. He was barred from entering the United States. He gets a hero's welcome in Somalia. That's where he came from, Omar. He's 34. He was meant to be the first Somali referee to officiate at a World Cup. Instead, he says he was questioned for hours about a militant group and then denied entry to the U.S. So, and it goes on to say, it speaks about his welcoming home. He was meant to be the first selected for the tournament starting Thursday in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. But after landing Saturday in Miami, where the referee's training base is, he was detained and questioned for 11 hours, he says. That's crazy. He is not an isolated case. Oh, it's 15. 15 Iranian officials have also been denied entry, according to Iranian state media. As has the official Iraqi team photographer, an Iraqi player, Ayman, and other teams say they have been subjected to intense and sometimes invasive searches at the border. We know what that means. That means they say cop and squat. We want to get all up in that body cavity. Okay. But the US government says, hey, we give the assurances that FIFA, years ahead of the soccer tournament, that eligible athletes, officials, and fans from all countries around the world would be able to attend. But preparations for the tournament faced uncertainty due to travel bans and restrictions imposed under President Donald Trump that prevent or severely limit entry to the US for citizens of 39 countries. What's your thoughts on that? What's your take on that, Godmama?
I, so I guess prior to the war, it was already an understood that, hey, yeah, we're gonna do this and y'all are gonna come. And then once everything started popping off and no one knows what anyone's on, they're kind of hunkering down on what it appears to be the countries that, we're at odds with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm with you,
Mm-hmm.
friend. This vetting should have been happening, should have been an ongoing process. Because we have technology to track people and what they're doing, apparently and obviously. So this should have been something they already knew before he boarded the plane to get to Miami. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Instead of wasting this man's time.
Yes.
Because did it even mention what militant group he was affiliate? Like, because it doesn't even say he was affiliated. It just
Mm-mm.
said
He was
militant
just
group.
questioned. Yes, just questioned for 11 hours. These are his words. And the White House hasn't, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe they did put out a statement prior to the show. But I haven't seen the White House address these specific this World Cup quite yet.
Mhm.
However, I did hear that Trump is now going to be stepping up ICE's presence in New York. So he's still on his bullshit family, basically. Excuse my language. He's
Hey,
still on,
Judah. Hey, C.
you know,
Wilson.
yeah. Hey, Judah. Hey, C. Wilson. Hey, family. But yeah, and it sounds like from that article that was from NBC, um, but it sounds like they at first when we accepted to open our home to them, they were, we were on good terms. But it says now that the policies and travel bans that have been implemented by Donald Trump himself, that's where the hangup is. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, these are soccer players. This is a global sport that brings countries together, and I mean, it's I don't know. We should be proud and honor these athletes. I feel like we should
Right.
treat them with the same respect that we treat our athletes with, and how our athletes are treated when they're in other countries. People love our basketball team.
Mhm.
People love our, track stars, and our don't get them started on the slopes. They love when we get to snowboarding. Okay. They treat our athletes really well. So I think it's just unfortunate, and it's just setting the tone on where we're at as a global community and how much America, United States, is just a thorn in a few people's sides for sure. They're here to play football. They're not here to, I don't know. You have to
And I
go through
mean,
so
you can
much. I mean, there's so much security to even go through, right?
right.
To
That's what
even
I was
enter
gonna
the
say. Like, you
stadium.
can
So,
amp up the security. Like, you can what? There's such things as clear backpacks for a reason. Okay.
right.
Like, you know, e this is something I don't think we should be, like, too concerned about. If people wanna come play a sport, if they wanna bring that economic wealth from all
Yes.
over countries and converting their money to dollars because they have to
Yes.
spend their dollars here, why
Come on,
not give
Godmom.
these people that ability? We're not saying you can't, you're coming to live, you're coming to participate in a world event. We are
Mhm.
allowed to go other places and participate in the world event if we so choose to.
Mhm.
So I don't understand why we're cutting our own nose off to spite our face, basically. This would be a huge money boom.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And it gives people temporary jobs. Uh,
Right.
it gives people, a little bit of, I'm not going to call it pride, but it's just a little pep in your step, right? And then you
Mhm.
get to meet foreigners, and you might be able to mingle with people you wouldn't necessarily mingle with. I don't get it. It's irritating. However, the show must go on, and I'm sure they're going to be bringing in backup replacements, officiants. And I'm not going to give my 2 cents on who I think it is, but yes, they're doing Canada and Mexico. I thought that's what the article said. They're
Mhm.
doing. I thought they're doing like a little tour, aren't they? Like they play a game here, play a game there. And I'm with you, C. Wilson, on this. America's not really a soccer country. That's not really our big. We're more into American football than soccer, but there are a lot of fans here that play FIFA
Mhm.
on the little PlayStation and watch the games and wave their little jerseys around. Yeah. So I don't know. That's unfortunate, family. That's unfortunate. Thanks, Donald Trump.
Thanks.
Okay. Period.
Why you got the whole UFC in your front yard, my guy?
Oh,
Like,
oh
I
gosh.
heard there was a lawsuit for that. Like the
Yes.
community put out a lawsuit.
Yes. Yeah, they're trying to stop it. Absolutely. And then I watched a little Dana interview, and these people, Dana and Kevin O'Leary, they just are so full of themselves. It's all about my
They really
ego.
are.
I can't. Not my cup of tea. Sorry, Dana. Take you and your MMA fighters and go on somewhere. Okay. We got plenty of arenas, and yeah, the White House. Just anywho, I'm not even going to get into that. But here, what does our title say? You know, how far have we come with human rights? We won't let football players come in, and well, soccer players. We won't let the soccer players come in, and we got UFC on the White House lawn, and we got this
Mm.
Carmelo Anthony stuff going on, and it's just a mess right now. I don't know. I don't know.
We've got people bringing up that we're now back into Jim Crow because of voting rights. Okay, like it's a I don't know anymore because I think people can have such selective outrage, um, and they have so much information in their head that they just start throwing it out. Like they just throw it out because they were watching reels on TikTok and they were talking about social injustice, and now that's all in your mind, so you've got to talk about it, but you don't really know what you're talking about. You're just reverberating, regurgitating talking points.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we get into, the no everyone knows it all. But if we know it all, why are we why are we still quote unquote suffering? Because we don't. We know what we're fed, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't have to take what you're fed. You can say no and you can look further. You'll be okay.
Exactly.
You'll be okay. Baby, I don't know. I'm beside myself with some of the things that's going on. Um, and it's not just here
Me
in the
too.
States. It's again, we're back active with Iran. We're back active. Godmama was telling me it seems like every time there's a basketball game, it seems like we get to bombing places. It seems like, that's our distraction. Israel's getting jiggy over their family, and we are
Mm.
really censored. Again, I've said this before. I go to Al Jazeera, I go to China State Media, and they are just Al Jazeera is live 24/7 on TikTok, just constantly. They're still talking about Epstein and people getting arrested about Epstein. I mean, people are still getting arrested in other countries, or they're stepping down as officials. Um, get your
Hell, Bill
news
Gates
somewhere
just
else.
Bill Gates just testified yesterday in his connection to Epstein.
Yes. 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 There's still so much going on. And, I've been distracted. I've been allowing myself to be distracted by the basketball game as well. However, I like to keep an eye out on what's going on. Israel is getting jiggy over there. Some of the Lebanon border boundaries are no longer on Apple Maps. Go figure. So they're just doing the most, and they're not doing it quietly. We're just getting censored, and we're not hearing about it. Okay, because we
Right.
have a UFC tower rigged outside the White House. Like, they're just distracting us. As what's the saying, Godmama? Give them circus, give them peanuts, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, speaking of this
Even
topic,
down
though,
to oh,
oh,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Mm-mm. No, I
Oh,
was
okay.
just gonna say, even down to the rage baiting, the race baiting, and all of that. It's
Oh yeah.
strategic at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I even watched a documentary, and I know this is going to sound crazy. It was a crazy documentary, but I didn't have shit going on. And they were saying that basically there is no UFOs. It's always that people have been taught to lie, trained to lie, and they are the ones flying it. I don't know how true that is. I heard that this is, blah, 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 but
Mm-hmm.
it's a conspiracy theory. But it started making me think, I wouldn't put them past them. I wouldn't put them past them as much as they want to distract us with everything. That's what the documentary said. There are no UFOs. Those are pilots,
High
human
grade
beings.
military.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yep. These are
Yeah,
things
I've
that
heard
they've
that
been.
before too.
Uh-huh. So that's interesting. But speaking about our human rights and things like this and going across the world, blah, blah, blah. Elon Musk likes to speak out. He says he doesn't believe Africa's poverty is caused by colonialism. I guess I can share the screen for a little bit on this one. He doesn't believe that Africa, where are we at? There we go.
I hope
He
he's
says
got
that,
a good explanation to back this up.
oh, well, he replies. This is just a
Okay.
snippet from somebody's, I guess, I don't know where it was said at. But I don't believe Africa's poverty is caused by colonialism. For those who don't know, Elon Musk is a white South African, an American immigrant, or a South African immigrant that's in America. He said it wasn't. With rare exception, colonies were unprofitable, meaning more was spent building infrastructure like roads, railways, buildings, etc., than was exported. And look at places like Singapore and Hong Kong. Both were colonies for a long time, and yet they are extremely prosperous. I don't know what kind of response that is. What? But okay.
Okay, hold on. It wasn't. With rare exception, colonies were unprofitable, meaning more was spent building infrastructure like roads, railways, building blah, that's not answering. That's not answering the statement, Elon, because it's not what you're saying isn't even making sense. Like, because what infrastructures, roads, railways, buildings, etc., were built in Africa to create profitable
Right.
prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
Sing like I'm confused. This doesn't even make sense to me, Elon.
They
Like
just
you,
went
you
in
kind of.
and yeah, they didn't. They still don't have any type of how we're able to do offshore rigging, all kinds of when they're blowing up the mountains to make the rail, all types of work like that.
Hmm.
They don't do that over there. They got these little kids doing it by hand and a shovel.
Right.
I don't see no excavators over there. I don't see no, big old cranes over there. Like, okay. At least in certain parts of Africa. I know other parts of Africa have been colonized and they are doing well. But I mean, for the most part, they just go to Africa to get the goods and leave.
Thank
whether
you.
that be humans, whether that be test dummies, whether that be
Resources.
resources, right? All of those things. Genetics. Y'all love us for all that, but okay. Anywho, unprofitable. That's crazy.
How
I
is it how that is unprofitable? Okay. But y'all making
right,
all the profits off of them diamonds, right?
mind you,
Y'all
he's
making all the
becoming.
profits off of them chips that go into cell phones that come out of Congo, right? But
Thank
it's
you.
not profitable. Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
The fuck. But human rights in America have come a long way. Okay.
Right. Where we have immigrants that can say things like that. And he is on the road. I don't know if it tipped yet, but he is about to be the first trillionaire, the first human trillionaire. Well, that we know of in our times. Spooky times, family. Spooky times.
This is
Mm,
Elon. I wish I had the wah 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 for you because that was whack. That was
baby, what?
whack.
What?
Whack. Not profitable. I gotta roll this C.C.C because that just irritated my soul to hear him say some silly mess like that. That colonization had no effect on Africa. Oh, okay, sir. Oh,
But you see where
okay.
he's at, though, right? He's saying that from our
Right,
yard, right?
right. Not his own yard.
Right. He's saying that from our
uh,
yard. Okay.
okay. My.
If
Mm.
it were profitable, what about those farmers over there? Aren't they turning profit? Let me stop. Not my country, not my tea right now. Moving right along. What else we got on the docket today, Godmama?
Let's see here.
Because you talking
Well,
about people
okay,
want
so
to talk
since
about Jim Crow. What's going on?
well, okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard, because I had never really heard of the man until today. Actually, his name is Wesley Harvey. He's in Congress in Texas. Um, he's a Republican, and he doesn't play well with others, in my opinion. He's very excuse me for the wind if you can hear it in the background because it's trying to take off like we in Wizard of Oz or something.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, but he doesn't play well with Democrats, I should say. And he likes to call them out on their BS. And for some reason the Democratic Party um is saying that in order to vote, you have to present your ID. And a lot of the Democratic Party is saying that that law is considered Jim Crow. Now, Mr. Harvey had a serious issue with that because he has family members that live through real Jim Crow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to listen to this little back and forth banter that Harvey has with his judiciary committee. And the hearing, I'm sorry, was on the Southern Poverty Law Center manufacturing hate. So I'm thinking that this all because it was back in May 20, so I'm thinking it has to do with that Safe America Act where
Mm,
in order to vote, you have to have
yes.
an ID, you have to be in your specific area. It's a lot of things going on with that. So I think they're kind of still going back and forth with this. Um, but I really enjoyed his talking points, and that he kind of is what brought this title to today's stream to fruition because he shows where we've came, right? But then we have other things that are happening in real time that kind of make what he's saying a little bit contradictory. But let's
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Okay.
The first one is The Intercept. We knew they were paying informants. SPLC donors reject Trump DOJ.
Without objection.
The second one is a letter from the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, nonprofits together in
Without objection.
442 civil rights organizations rejecting the criminal charges. And finally, unanimous consent to introduce a statement from Trevor Potter, president of the Campaign Legal Center, former Republican chair of the FEC.
Without objection, so ordered. We now go to Mr. Hunt for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The talking point for the Democrat high brain today is that Jim Crow is alive and well in America, and I'm sure that some of the SPLC's actions have helped them make this argument. My first question is for you, Ms. Swain. In the 2024 presidential election, were you required to pay a poll tax before you voted?
No.
I have another question for you. When you went to vote at the voting locations, were you intimidated in any way with baseball bats, fire hoses, or dogs?
The only thing that intimidated me is that in my state that you go in, if you you have to ask for a Republican ballot or a Democrat ballot, and if you are in a precinct that's predominantly Democrat, I think you would have a lot of fear.
Thank you for answering that question, ma'am. For all my Democrat colleagues and everyone on the left screaming Jim Crow 2.0, like I hear ad infinitum, let's take a moment to revisit what actual Jim Crow was. Jim Crow was a time when Black Americans could not sit in classrooms with white Americans. It was colored only water fountains. It was beatings in the streets. It was lynchings. It was fear. It was public humiliation. My own father, who grew up in a segregated South in New Orleans, had to walk around to the back of a restaurant just to order a sandwich in the French quarters of New Orleans because of the color of his skin. That was Jim Crow. And that is precisely why it is so offensive to compare that era of legalized discrimination and racial terror to showing a photo ID in a voting booth. And it is just as offensive when groups and organizations like these manufacture faux hate and racial tension. Requiring identification to vote is not oppression. It is not segregation. It is not racism. It is a basic standard that applies equally to every single American citizen, regardless of what you look like. You need an ID to board a plane. You need an ID to cash a check. You need an ID to buy alcohol. You need an ID to enter these very federal buildings. And by the way, attaining an ID in this country is an extremely low bar. But somehow showing an ID to vote in America is now considered to be Jim Crow 2.0. This is not about civil rights. This is about political theater. And the Democrat Party survives on manufacturing grievance. Democrats invoke the pain of the past because they have nothing to offer for the present. They don't want an honest debate. They want emotional manipulation. They want outrage. They want division, as evidenced by our discussion in this very hearing. They want Americans to fight each other because chaos is politically useful to them. Words like racism and white supremacy and Jim Crow 2.0. For the purposes of elucidating my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's take a hard look at what real Jim Crow was. Check out this one behind me. You see, this is Jim Crow. This is what Democrats call Jim Crow. Next slide, please. See, that is Jim Crow. For whatever reason, this is what Democrats call Jim Crow. Slide, please. That is Jim Crow. This Democrats call Jim Crow. I know that some of these images can seem to be very jarring to many of us that haven't experienced that over the course of the past 40 years of my lifetime. I never saw these things. I never experienced them personally, but I have family members who have and who did. And that's why it is extraordinarily important for us to be very, very careful with what we compare to Jim Crow, because this country has come a very, very long way. I keep saying this over and over and over and over again till I am blue in the face. I represent a white majority district along with 3 of my other Black colleagues here in Congress. And you know what? Nobody cares about what we look like. We are being judged not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character, because we've come a long way from this. I don't want to go back to that. In fact, I want to continue on the path that America has set forward in the name of Jesus Christ. And I want to let people know that we don't need to be angry. We don't need to be divided. We want equality for everyone. Let me be crystal clear. This is not 1960 anymore. It's 2026. And the fact that groups like these are willing to stroke the flames of hate by funding the KKK is absurd. With that, I yield back the remainder of my time. Thank you for being here.
Baby, he cooked their ass.
Cooked. Okay.
He
Straight
cooked. Yeah,
cooked.
he put on, that was Chef Kiss right there.
He put on a good show for that one. Okay, I watched it this rising and I said, "Ooh wee, ooh wee," because it's different when you start putting it into context and not just spewing the rhetoric. Right? He had a picture to show you, like this is Jim Crow, and to keep putting fuel on the fire of racial tensions,
Mm-hmm.
shame on you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we in their Congress, so they're supposed to be above that, right? They're
Right.
supposed to not have any type of bias, any type of racial bias, religious bias. They're supposed to go strictly by the law and by the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But then we started with, I mean, I like where he said, they just create these problems basically themselves. That they're without grievance, without any made up grievances, there wouldn't be really a Democratic Party. Like, you guys bring this shit on yourselves.
Right.
Yeah, I don't trust Republicans either. I don't trust either side at this point. But I liked his talking points. I did. We can't deny that there are racists in America. We can't deny
Right.
that part. However, it shouldn't be utilized to fuel your vote.
Right. I agree. And it shouldn't be constantly put in someone's face when it has nothing really to do with race. It
Right,
has to do with citizenship, which has nothing, again, to do with race.
right, right.
Because he made a good point. You have to show an ID to get on a plane. You have to show an ID to go cash your check. You have to show an ID. You have to show ID for almost everything in America. So why does voting, voting can be any different? No. Mm-mm. No, if you should have to show your ID, period, or nobody show their ID at all. That's how I feel. I don't know.
Mm, you just
I
show
don't
up
know.
with the utility bill. That's all you need, a utility bill.
That's it. I am who I say I am. Prove me
Mm,
wrong. Okay.
listen,
But then that goes into sovereign citizens and yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah. So hey.
Wow. Well, I like, he was well spoken. I don't really, again, I can't trust I'm tired of this two-party system as a whole. I'm just so over it.
Mhm. Me
We need
too.
to just
I am
trash it
too.
all the
To
way.
the
Just
it's
trash it.
well,
Because it's, yeah.
moving on to the next video. It was, it to me this conversation is kind of deeper than what we can give it time for, because you have to go back into history to kind of have real appreciation for this. And it has to deal with slavery because the topic is, America has came a long way with human rights. And slavery was one of the first catalysts for human rights, civil rights. What is right and what is wrong in sense of how to treat a human, what a human is supposed to have to thrive and survive. And there's this abolitionist group that go from here to there to everywhere. And their whole mission is they want to abolish abortion.
Okay.
But one of their talking points for abolishing abortions is that abolitionists they were the ones who abolished slavery. The same
Okay.
abolitionists who are trying to abolish abortion, not the exact same, but it's the same type of vibe, the same type of movement, right? Now, this is kind of like a catch-22 in my opinion, because like this young lady expresses, the Bible was used to keep slavery going, right? It was used to excuse slavery. But this man, he kind of breaks it down to her historical wise, how that's not necessarily true. So let's listen, and I want to see what you think. It's just a few seconds long, maybe a minute long.
You don't think Christians led that? You think Harriet Tubman was not a Christian?
I'm not saying I'm just not a Christian. I believe in God, but I just wouldn't put myself in that category.
Wait, do you think Frederick Douglass wasn't a Christian?
I don't know.
You don't think William Lloyd Garrison was a Christian? Who abolished slavery? Who were the leaders of the abolitionist movement?
But also,
No,
also we know what Christianity was used for. So to me, that's so sideways for us to say that Christianity. Because we know that Christianity.
I'm just walking up. Let me meet you. Like you said, you're a Christian.
No.
Okay, non-Christian.
I believe in God.
Okay, yeah. So, but you're saying that the claim that it was not, because it's just a historical question,
yes,
right?
I feel like we know what, we also know, we know what the Bible was used for, but it's kind of weird for me to hear that.
Some people use the Bible to justify slavery. Other people use the Bible to justify abolition, right? So if you do a rigorous historical examination, the big argument that was going on is the abolitionists of slavery argued that people who were trying to justify the Bible on biblical grounds, by slavery on biblical grounds, were manipulating and twisting the Bible. And so they wrote pamphlet after pamphlet saying, no, the Word of God says that man stealing is a capital crime worthy of death. Like if you steal a person and sell them, you should be put to death. That's what it says in the law of Moses. That's what's affirmed by God when he destroyed Tyre and Sidon. Like, God hates man stealing. He hates chatteling people. So the abolitionists said that man is made in the image of God is the death knell to all forms of usurpation and oppression. It's because we follow Christ that we are going to abolish slavery.
Are you worried that using your home address?
I mean, so far to me, he's given some good little points. Okay, but he gets a little bit deeper than this.
Okay. Yeah, I like his
When they did that, they ran into people who were like, well, the Bible says I can hold slaves or whatever. And then they said, okay, what does the Bible say? And then they opened the Bible and they dug into it and they said, actually what the Bible says is that if you hold slaves, you cannot, do this to them, this to them, this to them. If they run away, they can't be returned to you. The Bible says all sorts of stuff about slavery. The Bible was revealed, here, I'll switch you spots. The Bible was revealed to people who had just been let out of slavery. So immediately after coming out of Egypt, because they were in cruel slavery, they ended up in slavery because there was a famine in the world, and they ended up there and oppressed after some time. But the original slavery they were in there was like they were working for food. But then it says the Pharaoh that Joseph had originally known died and no longer knew them and all that kind of stuff. He said then he put them into cruel slavery and they cried out to God. God rose up Moses, led them out of Egypt. Exodus, central story of the Bible in the Old Testament, right? So they live in a culture where they're slaves, slaveholders. They're going to have slaves because they're warring tribes. And what do you do whenever you conquer this tribe? You don't have prisons, you have slavery, or you kill them all. When you don't kill them all, they become, indentured servants, whatever. But they have all these rules and regulations on how you are to treat slaves. The differences between like the biblical prescriptions on how you treat slaves and how slavery was practiced in the ancient world is you could kill a slave in the ancient world because they're your property. In the Bible, you can't kill a slave. If you kill a slave, you end your own life, right? So those things exist in the Bible. Abolitionists of slavery use those things to argue against Southern slavery because they said Southern slavery was unbiblical slavery. And so, so if you're talking about Harriet Beecher Stowe, author of Uncle Tom's Cabin, Christian. William Lloyd Garrison, author of The Liberator, leading newspaper for the abolition of slavery, Christian. Harriet Tubman, Christian. Frederick Douglass, Christian. Wendell Phillips, Christian. Elijah Lovejoy, lost his life, Christian. I don't think you can name a single abolitionist of slavery that's not Christian. I could if I dug, if I thought about it, but they're an extreme minority because the non-Christians are kind of like, we don't freaking care. But yes, it is true that there are all sorts of awful,
maybe that's just the first thing that
unchristian people. It just depends on like what you've been talking.
Yeah, well, because it was just like the way that the Bible was used, just to control people.
Yeah, so Frederick Douglass, which I don't know if you probably heard his name before, but he's like the most photographed man in the 19th century. He's got the big fro. Frederick Douglass's book has a big old long chapter, and his chapter is on this problem. He's like, and the worst thing about it is that they're claiming to be Christian and claiming the Bible's on their side.
See, that I don't know. That's how I feel today, because that's what we were talking about.
But his argument wasn't that the Bible was on their side.
Because it's not.
And the Bible is not on their side. The Bible is actually against them, and that they are twisting the Bible. And that he, along with Garrison, who was the guy who kind of discovered him and recruited him into the cause, their argument was every time you have an evil, oppressive act going on in culture, you're going to find people twisting the Bible to justify it. And so their argument is you're twisting the Bible. Now, you will today, I don't know what circles you're in, but you will find people that'll do it again. And they'll argue they're a minority, but they exist. You'll find people that'll argue like for slavery, and they'll try to twist the Bible too.
And I just think it's crazy how we can.
Yeah, but they're an extreme minority, and that they're twisting it because clearly, like,
I don't know why we're
like for every one church or one pastor who might argue that, there's like 100,000 who don't. So you're like, okay, it would be unjust for me to say that's the position of Christians, because the position of Christians is like, slavery was an abomination, and like
I don't think we should own other people. I don't.
Yeah, you don't. So you're against abortion.
Right now, God would be entirely.
We're going to stop right there because then it goes into his what his channel is all about, which is abolishing abortion. And that is also a good banter back and forth. So if that's kind of your thing, Abolitionist Rising is a very good channel. It does get comical at times with people. But I really enjoyed that back and forth conversation that he had with her, because that is a big talking point and when it comes to Christianity and slavery, right?
Yeah.
That Christianity condones slavery because it's in the Bible. And I appreciated how he said, well, maybe you need to go read it again for yourself to see what it really says, because it tells you how to treat them if you have to have them, because of things like he said, they didn't have prisons. So when you conquered another country or someone committed a crime, most of the time they became what we know as a slave. And so the Bible came with, it came with instructions on this is how you need to treat people. And we all know that chattel slavery in America was not how you were supposed to treat people, period.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And she says she to me she made a good point, um because she said it was used as a tool to control us. But
Mm-hmm.
what I realized is what was used as a tool to control us was our inability to read English.
Okay.
Because,
Okay.
because once we were able to really learn and comprehend English, like Frederick Douglass said, they said they were Christians and this is what the Bible said, but come to find out they're liars.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Come to
wasn't that
find
we
out,
couldn't
they
read.
cherry picked it. Right. Come to find out, they cherry picked it.
Right.
Come to find out, they skipped a few verses and chapters and books. Okay.
Mhm. And it still
Hell,
happens to this day.
they could barely read themselves.
Facts.
Okay. They had designated preachers, and if that preacher was racist, then you got the racist little snippets, the cherry picks out the Bible, right? Because
Yeah.
you can cherry pick anything to suit your agenda or your narrative or whatever, your bullshit. And it's for, you have to, one of the things that that's asked of you to do when it comes to the Bible is to memorize it for yourself, so you can pull up a scripture, you can know where it came from, what the full aspect of what that specific verse is talking about. Because some people will just throw out, I mean, we went through this with Little Badass, right? Oh, a woman owes her man sex, look up this verse. But then when we broaden the verse to the chapter and the book that it was in, it wasn't saying that.
Right.
So it was saying that with with context of, you follow, if your man is leading you by God, then you follow your man to God. You know what I mean? That's all it was saying.
Mhm.
You submit yourself to a man who has already submitted himself to God. That's what it was saying. So you could cherry pick anything for your talking points. People do it every day. But we're in a day and age where people don't want to take the time to do it themselves, or they were taught not to do it for themselves.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you gotta, yeah. We say this all the
And
time over here, God Mama. Go do the research for yourself. Don't take our word for it. Don't use us as your source. You can use us as your inspiration, but baby, go find it for yourself. Don't go to ChatGPT. Go your ass to the library. Okay?
thank
You'll
you.
be okay, I promise.
You'll figure a librarian will help you if you need it.
Okay? I promise you.
Mm.
And they're
But
saying
it
it's getting to they're saying it's getting to a point that intelligence is going to be one of the newest commodities.
absolutely.
So do with that as you may. Mm-hmm.
Interesting though is to hear Harvey speak on, we've came a long way, and then hearing the abolitionist man speak of, Harriet Tubman and these things. We have come a long way. I will say that we have, as a country of only 250 years old, have made strides into a particular direction where human rights in some capacity matter.
Yes.
Hold on, my son is asking me something.
Okay, go ahead. I'm looking up something real quick because something just popped in my head. Y'all know I have ADHD at that. But God Mama, I'll agree with her on that. We have come away, but that's why I said at the beginning, in certain aspects, our country is super young, and we have we're the standard. I hate to say that. I don't want to sound like America's just the best, the this, the that. But baby, we're the standard when it comes to freedoms. Okay. I want to see, hold on, which
Is
country?
it me? Okay, there she is. Okay, I hear
There
you.
you go. Okay. You can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Was the first to abolish slavery. Let's just look it up. Nice. We're in the top 4. We're in the top 4 of countries to ban slavery, abolish slavery. That speaks volumes, family.
It kind of does, yeah. I will agree with you there. I will agree with you there. But then again, that just goes to show if we are in the top 4, baby, that just goes to show you how low the bar and standard is. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
Mm-hmm.
can't forget that Libya still currently has slavery going on. They are still actively selling people
Yes,
like
right
it's cattle.
now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So while we're worried about whether someone can have their third temple or not, we really need to be worried about people who are still under a law that should have been abolished.
And they think it's their
Because the
right. They think that's their part of their human rights is to sell slaves or to own slaves or to purchase slaves. Some people think that's their human right. Godmama.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad I don't encounter those people. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
to own me is not your human right. I'm sorry.
Some
Okay,
people think that's how it is in marital situations as well. She is
that's
your
true.
property. She is your property.
Mm,
So
scary.
in some aspects, we have come a long way as far as human rights, and in some places, we got a long way to go. But I think we're on the right track. I think we need to stop. We need to think for ourselves. That's it. That's all. Stop letting other people control your emotions and your thoughts and telling you what to think and what to feel. Just because Cardi B came out here and said something, now you feel the same way. Do you really,
Right.
though? Do you really? Oh, okay. Have you even looked into the message? Do you even know the facts? That's how it's going on with this Carmelo Anthony situation I'm seeing. Okay.
Yes. And it has done, in my opinion, I know they wanted to protect, and it's lawfully to protect the youth, the juveniles. However, it has opened up such a can of worms for the outside community because we haven't seen the video footage of, everything that transpired, everything that happened like the people inside the courtroom did. We didn't hear the testimonies like the people inside the courtroom did. Yes, we've gotten to read some of them from people who, went in and wrote notes and yeah, 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 but it's not the same. It's not the
Mm-mm.
same. I've watched many court hearings, and it's not the same.
Too many
Uh,
discrepancies this time.
too many discrepancies. Okay, and the sentencing phase, in my opinion, shows that we have not came too far in human rights. Um,
Oh, really?
because
You're not
yes,
happy
because
with the 35?
no, I'm not. I'm really not.
Okay.
Because I have to think, friend. I have a 15-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And while I advise my 15-year-old son not to carry a knife to, outside and things of that nature, he does have one. And we talk about, how you're supposed to proper safety, how you're supposed to have it. You're not supposed to just be holding it around. Ooh, I got one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if, I would want my child to be able to protect themselves in a scenario where they felt they couldn't in any
Mm-hmm.
others, by any other means.
Right.
And for me, this kind of sets a precedence to the young black males that no matter if they gang up, hit you, whatever, you still have to walk away. You cannot defend yourself. And to the young white males, that to me, that gives them more of a superiority complex in this situation, in this scenario, because so many people are just not even considering the fact that the boy did actually get pushed. There were people, everyone said that was one thing people did not deny, that he was pushed before he stabbed the kid. And I say this all the time, we always scream at people, you can't tell someone how to fight. But then when something happens or goes wrong, now we want to tell someone how they should fight, how they should defend themselves, how they think that um what is proper force. The young man was 17 years old. I say it all the time. His frontal lobe cortex, his logical reasoning is not developed, even nearly developed at that age. He was a 3.8 GPA student, so he would, he did what he was supposed to do. He had never been in trouble with the police ever in his life.
No, but he
And
was
now,
suspended. But he was suspended 2 weeks prior and also had that same pocket knife on him. Come to find out.
yeah.
So,
But again, these are conversations that we have with our kids, because when my kid came and said, I want to carry a knife, why? What is, you got some ops? Like, what's going on? Like, why you want to carry a weapon? What's T? And most of the time,
see,
mine was just like, he's just like, because it's cool. What if I got to cut something? What if I got to, I'm like, oh, okay.
I hear and I understand that point of view, but I'm on the other side. I'm like, no, Carmelo should not. He was asked to leave, and I don't care if they said, hey, get your bitch ass up out of here. I don't care how they said it. They said leave. You and the person you knew could have jumped over to another tent. Now, I understand, stand your ground. And I do tell people, you can't dictate how somebody responds. But when we're dealing with violence or threats of violence, that's a whole nother ballpark. But I agree that he is 17. He's not well developed. I'm not saying he's not well developed. He's not fully developed. So that does play a role in critical thinking skills or lack thereof. But to me, I don't think Carmelo should have had a knife. And I think y'all could have just squabbled it out. I understand there was a height difference. If that's the case, again, move around. Y'all are at a track meet. Y'all are outside. You are not cornered in a corner. Now, if that was the case, I would feel different about him pulling a knife. But you are literally outside at a track meet. There was other tents. Y'all know the drill. We usually don't let people, but because it started raining, okay, well, this one particular tent didn't want you under there for whatever reason. Whether y'all had priors of engagement before this, still yet to be determined or come out, released. Neither here nor there. I don't understand this whole, I have a right to sit here. Okay, you do, but somebody has a right to tell you to get up and move. I'm sorry, if I got a tent and I'm doing some stuff and there's a kid up over here that we don't know and he might just be talking to one, okay, y'all move around. That's it, that's all. I don't need to explain myself. But I'm the adult in the situation, so I think differently.
Right.
But if I tell somebody to move around, whoop, whoop, I'm not one to be like, I'm going to physically remove you. No. But if I'm in a spot that I have set up for me and mine, right. If I got a spot set up for me and mine and I tell somebody to move around, move the fuck around. The end. That's just my thought process. And I'm not trying to shame Carmelo and make him seem like you got to be a punk, you got to tuck tail. No, you just move around.
Then we get to we get to the
That's it.
question though, friend, because he was convicted of murder. Okay. So
Right.
then we have to get to the question. So when he put his knife in his backpack that rising and left the house, he fully intended on taking this person's life because that's murder. He knew exactly what he
I
wanted to do.
When you pull a weapon, I've said it before, when you pull a weapon, and that's something I'm big about with my children right now, is when a weapon is pulled, whether you pulled it or somebody else pulled it or anything, expect death.
This is true.
Expect death. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Hopefully it can de-escalate. Hopefully it's just a couple. Hopefully you live to see another day. But if there is a weapon being pulled in any situation, expect death.
Mm-hmm.
So murder was the case that they gave him, and 35 years is that's what he's got to sit down for. And if that's setting the
And
standard or they're trying to make an example out of him, guess what I say? Good. Because when somebody asks
see
you to
now.
move around, move the fuck around. I'm tired of people not moving around and feeling entitled.
Well, see, this is where the human rights portion comes in, okay? Because people have been taking to the internet, posting similar cases where the person that committed the same crime under similar circumstances did not get as much time. And so now we have that whole thing like that was my issue with it all. It wasn't that I felt like Carmelo was innocent. It wasn't like I felt, that he shouldn't have done what he did. No, because that's what I have taught my child. When the chicken come home to roost, are you going to be ready to get them eggs?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Period. And sometimes that means sitting in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to, be Billy Badass, just know that Billy Badass went 6 feet under or in prison.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
But
that was
the
Austin Metcalf.
sentencing,
Unfortunately, that was Austin Metcalf. He wanted to be Billy Badass. Now he's 6 feet under. That's unfortunate.
is unfortunate. And now and the person who put him there is spending 35 years of their young life behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
Big boy bars.
Possibility of parole after halftime served. And because this is
Mm.
Texas, you get a good time here. If you are a trustee, that can also take time off your thing. So he can get out in about 8 years if he gets some act right in there. Hell, maybe even less. But I heard that they're already trying to appeal it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do your big one. That's also one of your human rights here in America. You can appeal.
Do your big one. Mm-hmm. Well,
Hell,
there was a lady on.
Isn't Karen, what's her
Sorry.
name, appealing right now? The lady
Yeah.
who they accused her of killing her husband or whatever. Karen, or I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
With the B,
Dang. If
isn't it?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was
Mm-hmm.
a lady on Facebook, her name is Asia. She said that her nephew, David Pleasant, was murdered at the hands of these people that were scared of an unarmed person running away. The same Denton/Colin County Court that just gave Anthony murder when he wasn't bothering, that's her opinion, gave one person no charges, one person assault, 4 years to serve, and 3 years was up for parole right after the trial. Alec had a gun. He shot twice. No manslaughter, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. No gun charges, just assault like he killed him in a fight. So basically, what she's saying is that her nephew was murdered with a gun. One of the boys shot him twice, killed him, and all of they got was
David, let me look
assault.
this up. Okay, let me look up David Pleasant real quick. What's the details? Because that was her family member, her nephew, or something.
Mm-hmm.
David
Yep,
Pleasant
nephew.
out of Texas. Let me see. Okay, Denton County. For your Denton, we want the David Pleasant was murdered at the. Okay, I see that one. Two 17-year-olds charged with. Okay, let me see this one. He was 19 years old. This was 2025. Denton jury sentenced Alec to 4 years. Okay. Originally on trial. He was originally on trial for first-degree murder, though. She didn't put that part, did she? Oh, okay. Okay.
I think she was talking about what the jury did.
Originally on trial for first-degree murder, the 19-year-old Alec was convicted of a lesser included aggravated assault. Well, you can't say the DA didn't try their big one. The DA charged him with first-degree murder.
And the jury said, nope.
So he was facing 2 to 20. He's faced with 2 to 20 years in prison. They took 3.5 hours before they delivered. He also received over 2 years and 1 month in jail credit because he had been sitting in jail the whole time. That's why. So he got his time served. As a result, he has already served over half the sentence in his immediate. So what are we mad about? That she didn't get the same jury that homeboy got? Okay, well, listen, I heard somebody say this in a little rant they were doing. I can't recall where it was. I think I was listening to Twitter's Spaces or something. Anyways, they were saying Black people start showing up for jury duty. Yo, I just got summons not too long ago. And for just a little traffic court, y'all show up to jury duty. That's the fucking problem. Now, not in this case with Carmelo, because you know they excluded Black jurors for one reason or another. However, I mean, just start showing up to jury. And I know, y'all, for the love of me, I made a live titled, Should Carmelo Be Worried or Concerned About an All-White Jury? I know it wasn't an all-white jury, family. Okay, I explained that. If you guys listen to the actual live, that's the first thing I address. But now I'm seeing on other places that they're saying, it's an all-white jury, it's an all-white jury. And I'm like, wait, are people actually running with that? They are. And they're calling the Hispanics and the Asians. They're like, nope, those are white. It's like, we can't. Oh, their sister. Okay, I got to step away first.
And there was another one, the same thing. 2 knives, 2 schools, 2 verdicts. Kason Allen in 2022 stabbed a classmate to death in a bathroom. He confessed. He was on video. He ended up running from the scene. He was sentenced to 10 years. And they say he was not guilty of murder or manslaughter, and they gave him the lowest charge possible. The mother of Kason's victim said it was a slap on the wrist. The jury got it wrong. So they're just, in my opinion, I this is where I have the problem, because he should not have gotten a 35-year sentence. If it played out the way that I've heard it play out over multiple platforms, who were in the courtroom, who watched witnesses, listened to witnesses, seen the footage, even though it was grainy as hell. But we cannot deny the fact that we have an underlying issue in America, and that is when a black male kills a white person, they're up for lynch mob. And that's just the facts of the matter. And so that's why the end of the title says, however, has it really? Because in my opinion, Carmelo Anthony is a prime example of we haven't come far enough. We haven't come far enough. Because if he's going to get 35 years, then poor Kason Allen needs to get 35 years. I don't know the circumstances and surroundings of his case. However, he said, yeah, he stabbed him in the bathroom. He stabbed him in the bathroom. And, Lurker was saying how, Carmelo Anthony was in the bleachers in an open area. He could have ran away, but he didn't. And Kason Allen had somebody hemmed up in the bathroom and stabbed them to death. So I don't know. To me, the justice system is not came a long way when it comes to human rights. And it may be because we have a jury system. But then it would get into the movie Mercy. I don't know if any of y'all have seen that movie, but it's a very good movie where we live in a society where there are no juries. AI goes through all of the data systems and decides guilty, not guilty, and you go from there. So I don't know. But y'all let me know in the chat, has America come a long way with their human rights? Have they? Or are we just, maybe plateaued right now? To me, I think we're plateaued. I don't think we're going backwards in a sense, but I do think we are very plateaued. And I think that the lack of wanting to do research for ourselves as a community really furthers the agenda of race baiting, rage baiting, because, like friend said, show up to the meeting, show up to jury duty, show up where it matters. But we tend to kind of show up where it doesn't matter. And maybe that's where we're losing our voice in human rights, is because we're not showing up where it matters. And I shout out to Harvey Wesley, I think was his name, Wesley Harvey, maybe Mr. Harvey, because he is showing up where it matters and he's using his voice where it matters. Okay. Hopefully he can get some steam rolling with that voice in the Congress for us, in a sense of trying to just put it to rest. We have so many mixed race people who are national born citizens in America, who are not foreigners, whose parents were not foreigners, for us to still be doing this gaslighting and rage baiting that we do to ourselves on both sides, all sides. A lot of people need some deprogramming, okay? But anyways, if we can make a law for anti-Semitic, we can make a law for anti-Blackness. Amen. Okay. Well, y'all, I have got to go. My children are already in there like, girl, what is you doing? Okay. Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with us today on this beautiful Thursday. I hope y'all get outside, touch some grass, smell some air, go have some fun. It's hot as outside, so get in some water. If you are here catching the replay, shout out to you. Thank you for the watch hours. Hit that like, drop down in the comments, because you never know when you'll be the next subscriber appreciation winner. All right, y'all, we out of here. Peace.
Like my release, this is a part of what I do to have fun, and I'm a creative. Creativity, I love it. You know what I'm saying? It's what keeps life interesting and makes it have fun. Makes me have fun.